Shooting USA is brought to you by Colt, still making history, and by the United States Practical Shooting Association. Find your local matches at uspsa.org. It was known as the Chicago typewriter, the trench sweeper, the chopper, the Tommy gun, and is today the best known of subguns firing the formidable pistol cartridge, the .45 ACP. The Thompson is now one of history's guns, history remembered and sponsored by the Civilian Marksmanship Program. It's been called the gun that made the 20s roar. The familiar rattle of the Thompson submachine gun was well known from the mean streets of Prohibition Chicago to the battlefields of World War II.
All in all, one of the most iconic, fascinating firearms, not just subguns, but firearms in history.
Originally, General John T. Thompson envisioned it as a weapon of war. At the time, the combat of World War I was dominated by heavy fixed machine guns and bolt-action rifles. Thompson saw his small machine gun being carried by doughboys who would use it to sweep opposing trenches clean of the enemy.
Thompson invented this gun. He wanted to use it as kind of a trench broom in World War I. However, even though the gun was designed before the end of the war ended before any of them were able to be delivered. So consequently, it was not used in World War I.
Thompson had named his trench broom the Annihilator, and that was the first of many colorful names for his creation. One title deemed it the first submachine gun, and it was, at least by name.
Thompson was the fellow that came up with the term submachine gun, designating basically a full auto carbine that fired pistol caliber bullet, which was .45 ACP, the same round that we used in our 1911 government model.
With the war over, Thompson's company, Auto Ordnance, had to find a new market for their full auto subgun.
It was sold on the civilian market. You could just walk into a hardware store and buy a Thompson when you wanted to. But the problem was it was expensive. At that point, there wasn't much of a need for it.
But with the start of Prohibition, it didn't take long for bootlegging gangsters to discover the full auto subgun that would fit in a violin case. And the lawmen who pursued them also appreciated the compact power of the Thompson. By the late 30s, most city streets were rid of Thompson-wielding gangsters, but the glory days of General Thompson's subgun were not over. In 1938, the U.S. military finally adopted the Thompson, and in the decade that followed, its legend would only grow, but this time in the hands of American GIs.
But when World War II came along, of course, we were already in production of it. And the one that was the most widely used was the model 1928A1. It had Cutts compensator on it, had fin barrel, beautifully made, had 20 and 30 round box magazines and 50 round drum. Basically, the soldiers and the users preferred the box magazines because the 50 round drum, number one, was a little harder to load, and then it rattled around a lot.
Paratroopers, commando units, and Army Rangers loved the Thompson for its power to deliver 830 rounds per minute of hard-hitting .45 ACP in close combat.
It was a very popular gun. It was used not only by the United States during World War II, but also by our allies, especially Great Britain. We sent thousands of those over to Britain. You see lots and lots of pictures of Tommies carrying the guns.
As time went on, the legend of General Thompson's invention continued to make its mark on history.
At the end of World War II was not the end of use by the Thompson. It was used all over the world, and it's probably still being used someplace. It's a very, very popular collector's gun, and they're very, very expensive today. A good illegal Thompson runs in the many, many thousands of dollars.
Thanks again for checking out Shooting USA on YouTube. There are a number of ways you can help support the show and our efforts. One, SUSA15 is a discount code that saves you 15% off anything at snapsafe.com. From the vault doors and the modular safes all the way down to the lock boxes. 15% SUSA15. If you're not looking to do any shopping, a simple like or a comment, or we'd be honored to have your subscription. It really does help the channel.